since I've been a very small boy growing up on a ranch in Montana, we used to hunt stones of all kinds there. There was even a little bit of petrified wood, but nothing like Oregon. And then when I came to Oregon and met my wife, she also loved to pick up stones. And so we go to the Oregon desert, which is a fantastic place for it, and pick up the sunstones. And these sunstones, they used to tell you, were only in Oregon, but they're in Oregon. There's some in Idaho and some in Utah, but not much in Nevada, very few there. And so this is what the sunstones would look like that you find. And they're we send them overseas. It's such, and have them faceted. It's such a time-consuming job to facet them, and so here's what we come up with. And as soon as we get them back, we buy these little bubbles to put them in at a rock shop, and we put them in there just to keep track of them. And as you'll notice, there's all different shapes of facets that you can have. They're just no end to the different cuts. You can look that up online and find them. And also the place where we send them is Sri Lanka. It's an island just to the east of India. And here's some of the jewelry we make with it. There's triangular shaped facets and oval shape of different sizes and a few different colors, and they're even heart shaped. And so we make a lot of necklaces. Some of them are excellent for rings. And oh, by the way, we never sell any of this stuff. My wife needs all of it. So there's just no end to it. And over in eastern Oregon, we have a few places where we pick up petrified wood, and we also have it made into to jewelry. It's very hard and makes very good jewelry. All different shapes you can have done. Or you can do it yourself too. It's not such a job to do that as it is the facet. And so they're all different shapes and different colors of petrified wood that we find in the same area. And it also makes really nice earrings. And here's what the petrified wood looks like in the raw material. These we've kept as specimens, and this is a particularly nice specimen of petrified wood. And so you find it all sizes and all shapes. Like this specimen, you can see the knots on it. There's some knots and just what you, in some of the places had rotted out and didn't petrify where most of it did. And so some of them, here's a really nice one that's pretty much solid. And so some of them come out square like this. That's a very nice specimen. So you find them all shapes and all sizes. And then one area where we go to hunt for agates, we find there's an agate with, it looks to me like a piece of sagebrush has got in the agate when it was being formed, and so it's petrified right in it. That's very nice to find something like that.
There.
just starting to peek through the lodgepole thicket at Annette's place, and we're getting up and getting ready to get started loading those teepee poles.
Okay, let's get those teepee poles loaded.
We will first put the teepee up, and then we'll go on to do a little fishing and a little rock hunting, hopefully, if all goes well. We're getting a good early start, so hopefully we'll be over to Coyote Lake and have the teepee up before the sun sets tonight.
Here we are, heading out. Going over to put the teepee up. April 19th, 2017. It's on a Friday. Come on. And here comes Joe and Nikki with all the rest of the stuff we're going to need. Actually, the teepee's on there. And all of the other stuff we're going to need.
We head out for the open road, and we're underway, and we're hoping to get that teepee up before the sun sinks down behind the Steens Mountains this evening. As we push on eastward, the pine forests gradually disappear, and then we smell juniper in the air as we go through the juniper forests of eastern central Oregon. As the terrain becomes drier and drier, we no longer see the juniper, and there's nothing here but sagebrush and bunch grass as we push on eastward with a few cotton candy clouds hanging just above the horizon. The teepee poles are riding well. We had to make this special device in order to haul the teepee poles because some of them are as much as 35 feet long, but they're doing well as we push eastward. We move in to the Sheep's Head Mountains. On our way east, we just have to go around these mountains, and then we'll be there. These are very nice mountains, and there's some huge lava tubes, just caves that are nearly a mile long. By now, the beauty of the area is starting to reveal itself as we get our first glimpse at the snow-capped Steens Mountains, standing tall against a clear blue sky with a few cotton candy clouds floating above the Steens as we push onward toward where we're going to set the teepee up. And when we see this sight, we know we're getting close. Then on top a hill, where we have a view of the whole valley. And all this country is what they call a self-drainage place. It has no place to drain, and Coyote Lake is the bottom of all of it. So all the minerals and everything from the surrounding hills have collected here, causing it to fill completely up where it's a dry playa. From now, our fairly good and even paved road and good gravel road have transformed into a not so good road as we move down the road toward Annette's property. We'll just have to take it easy, but it's dry and we'll have no problem whatsoever as long as we just hold in there and take it easy. This road may not be the very best, but at least it keeps people out, and she has a very old easement on it, so they won't be able to shut it down. There's wilderness study all around, and if it wasn't for that, the road would probably be shut down. But now they're talking about making this area.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. You're on camera.
Now we have to unload the teepee poles very carefully. If you were to drop one, it might break. Since they're dry, lodgepole pine, you have to use much care in taking them off. But the Steens Mountains are standing guard in the background as we untie the teepee poles and very carefully unload them one at a time. As soon as we get them unloaded, we can start this operation of putting the teepee up. The year before, when Marge and I put it up by ourselves, it took us 3 days to figure it out. Whoops, don't drop those, Joe, you might break one. And we finally got it figured out, but this year we're hoping to do it quicker and easier because Marge and I are figuring on sleeping in that teepee. Those long, dry poles are just exactly what we need because they're lightweight and easy to carry on top our vehicle. And the teepee, we have it in garbage cans to keep the creatures of the night out of it. We even put some mothballs in it. Nikki stands guard with her trusty revolver strapped on. Just in case we get an attack out here, she'll be able to hold the position. I'll dump the teepee cover and liner out of the garbage can and spread them out so we can get this operation started. And it shouldn't take us but a couple hours to get the whole thing finished. The area where we put the teepee shows much evidence of the herd of wild horses that have been here since they've tracked it all up. With the poles unloaded off the teepee, it's now time to spread the teepee, a rough teepee cover out, and start putting it back together. Joe is still on top of the pickup, looking it over. The poles went up amazingly well, and the next thing we know, we're putting the cover on the teepee. Joe pull the ropes around and get the cover around it, and then we'll put those all-important lacing pins on it. Looks like we may have a decent place to sleep tonight after all, if those lacing pins go in all right. We have a pole or two left over, which go for the smoke flap. And now he's poking in the lacing pins to hold the cover together. We didn't have room to bring a ladder along this time, so we just have to make do with what we have. We get the lacing pins in, and then the inner liner goes in, Once you get to the inner liner part of putting the teepee up, you just about have it. This inner liner is so air can circulate. In a teepee, there's usually a fire ring in the center where you can actually build a fire right in the center of the teepee to warm it. But we won't be building a fire out here in this sea of sagebrush. There's too much danger of a spark getting into that sagebrush and starting a real wicked fire. And once that stuff starts burning, it just almost explodes. We step back and take a look at our handiwork, and it all looks good with the Steens standing in the background. After we get the teepee up, it's time to go down and take a quick look at Coyote Lake before the sun sets too low in the sky. Marge is getting ready to go, and there it is, Coyote Lake, and it still has plenty of water in it. This place being an internal drainage place, there's just no place for the water to go unless it evaporates, and we can see where the wave actions uncovered a lot of gravel around the edge of the lake, and we notice the larkspur is in bloom as well as the tidy tip, and looks like an old goose decided that'd be a good place for a goose to be. We see goose tracks, and then Joe goes out on the lake where there's a little bit of water and can just barely stand up. This stuff just gets super, super slick with the Steens Mountains reflecting in the background. Many wild flowers are in bloom. Some of them are poisonous, like this example of the death camas, which is particularly deadly for sheep and other things. We go back to the teepee, and we're going to see that our bed is all ready to be made, and we're closing the teepee up now, and we're going to go pick Robert up so he can join us on We'll leave the teepee behind for right now, but we'll be right back again tomorrow. As we move out, we see there are numerous little wild flowers, like this little primrose growing right on the desert floor. And what a nice little flower that's stretched its blossoms out to be pollinized by the next bee that comes along. And of course, there's an antelope lurking on the top of the hill, just checking us out. This is does that are off by themselves to have their baby fawns. And away she goes. This is very special, seeing the world's fastest long-distance runner right in front of us. Then we look out toward a little pond out in the desert, and we see a herd of wild horses, and there were 29 in this herd, horses of all colors, and what nice horses they must be. There were several mares with very small colts out in the group as they graze around on a hillside for whatever grass they can find, but the grass is starting to come fresh and green, so they should have plenty to eat. There's some real pretty pinto horses as well as every other color in this band of wild horses. There's plenty of room for 'em to wander free out here, only with the winter breezes and the sunshine but it is. Sometimes they're out here in very cold weather. We move on to get Robert, and it's a pretty day. We see the Cascade Snow Peaks standing tall and looking good, as this little ground squirrel has a hunger that he can't seem to get stopped. He's eating his share of the nice grass as well. Now we have Sam and his sister Nancy and Robert with us.
But see how this is built? It's double wall with mud for mortar, and there's a space between they fill with mud. And that's the way all the old homestead shacks and everything are built out here.
I don't want to be looking on top of the wall, but I want to get over there. So I'm going.
Okay. Where was the door, you suppose? You know, this was a fairly good sized little shack, wasn't
Yeah, well,
it?
because it goes over there too.
Well, I think
Oh,
that's a fence post.
That's a fence thing, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that before.
Yeah. But this gives you an idea how it's built. See, there's an outer layer and an inner layer of rock with mud between them. And, of course, the mud's dissolving.
Yeah.
And it's not long for this world. Double wall, and do you see the corner? Yeah, right there. There's the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And where was their fireplace then?
Are you taking pictures or movies?
It's movies.
Yeah.
After examining the old Pony Express station, the very short-lived Pony Express ran right through here on the old military road. Then Sam gets a gate, and we see ravens circling over the cliff. There's a raven nest perched high on the walls of this cliff, and they're very active because we see the ravens on the nest part of the time. After going past the raven's nest, we're soon at the Sunstone area. And these are little crystal that are quite abundant here, and we just find them laying on the surface of the ground. We haven't even been digging, and you just pick them up all over the ground, and there's some very small ones, and then some are a little larger, and we sent them to Sri Lanka and had them have them faceted into little diamonds. The Sunstone or Oregon State gemstone, a very special thing. After the Sunstones, then we go nearby and find some big agates, which are laying right on the ground. And Robert happened to be lucky and find one. And some of them are pretty fair agates. Others are pretty cracked from laying on the surface too long. And the area is even decorated with some nice little wild flowers. A Great Basin gopher snake is out. This time we decided to go down and dig some petrified wood down by McDermott. We ford a little stream and continue on our way.
Oh, we made it. Almost. We have a clean car? Yeah, we should have gone through deep.
Yeah, the tires are clean.
I was concerned about that creek since there's been warm weather.
There, we went through the creek.
That's fun. Go.
We forded the creek.
I expected this.
Across the creek and then up on the little plateau as we move up toward this petrified wood digging spot. And this is very special petrified wood. It's a gem quality, and it's quite famous for being such good quality. It's great for making jewelry or just as specimens standing alone. Sam again gets the gate, and we move on through
and head right up to the place where we'll be digging. Robert mans the business end of a shovel, and we get started digging. And it's going to take us a while to get down to it. Someone had been here and illegally taken a backhoe and tried to dig, and then they got caught and the holes had to be filled. So we're having some trouble finding the spot. But Robert soon, with some good hard work, soon found several chunks of petrified wood right in the hole where we used to dig after we got the loose dirt dug off the top of it.
It's too hard to get out.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna.
This is the hole that Robert dug.
I gotta get my camera.
How deep are you, Tom?
Oh, maybe 4 feet.
You look tired.
It made sense.
I think there's one right there. I'll get down there and see if I can get him out.
There's all kinds of hand tools by you.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
Sometimes you kind of hit a vein, you know, and they keep going. So I kept trying to do that.
It's like they washed in a little wash or something.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's what we want. We're into them again here.
Oh, this one. You got it? That's a piece of dirt.
My, that hole's deep.
Huh?
I say, my, that hole's getting deep. You found all your rocks down there?
Yeah. Yeah, I was digging down there.
He dropped that hole about 3 feet from when I saw it first.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah.
I'll have to find a bag or something to put this stuff in. Boop, boop. Boop.
Or maybe it's a caveman's petrified finger.
That would be a find.
Oh, it's petrified finger, see? It's just the right length, and it's the right size. That's got to be a petrified finger.
You got the finger.
Yeah.
This is Tom trying to get out of the hole.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
It's just a bummer when they close these holes up on you.
We didn't do as well today since our holes have been filled with equipment. One thing, you're not allowed to use equipment here, and so the person that was using that equipment was arrested, but that didn't help us find our spot where we like to dig. So we then back across the creek again and on toward the teepee. The water is not deep enough to be any problem fording the creek, but it scares Marge a little bit anyway. We have no problem crossing the creek, and we come out with nice, clean tires on the other side of the creek, and then on back toward the teepee we had. And Sam and Nancy have cooked a feast
second to none. We have barbecued ribs and everything.
Wow, look at
What a feast, huh? Yeah.
Take a rib.
Well, it's a lot better than what we had last year.
What the heck is that?
Stinking piece of salmon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
What's that?
Wow. There's even more food. Look at that.
Yes, I know.
I didn't see her cooking that.
Here,
Yeah, she got